became curious and I started looking at all these different studies. I just wanted to find the correlation between various antisocial behaviors and intelligence. So I'm checking these studies, and there was quite a few interesting ones. I found a study where they followed over 1 million men, and they found a very clear correlation between low IQ and violent or aggressive behavior. So low IQ men were much more prone to engaging in this kind of behavior. And there was a whole bunch of other studies that also showed the same correlation. So that was the first little breadcrumb that I found. I started looking at some more studies, and I found a whole variety of peer-reviewed studies that prove a correlation between low IQ and prejudice towards outgroups. So people with low IQ are far more likely to have prejudice towards outgroups. Of course, if you have lower cognitive abilities, you also have less ability to see nuance and less ability to consider, all the factors involved in a situation. So generally speaking, low IQ people, they tend to break everything down into stereotypes because it's much easier to understand. And they end up with this very simple black and white thinking of we're good and they're bad. It's just classic herd mentality. Okay, so we've got low IQs correlating with violence and aggression. You've also got low IQs correlating with prejudice. And there was another very interesting thing that I found, okay? And it did surprise me. I didn't expect that there would be studies on this. So there is actually various peer-reviewed studies that prove a definite correlation between having a higher IQ and adopting a plant-based diet. So there was a British study, okay, very simple. They checked in with people at the age of 30, and the ones at the age of 30 who happened to be vegetarian, they had an average of 5-point higher childhood IQ than the ones who didn't, who just stick with the normal traditional diet. And there was various other studies that also backed up the same correlation. So obviously, the inverse of this, it shows that low IQs are correlated with clinging to traditional meat-heavy diets. So of course, if you have a low IQ, you're much more prone to just following the herd, because emulating other people's behavior, it requires a lot less mental bandwidth than actually thinking for yourself. And of course, having a low IQ, it probably means you're a lot more prone to advertising and various different types of propaganda, such as that from the $1.4 trillion meat industry. So generally speaking, if you have higher intelligence, you're a lot more empowered to make decisions for yourself that may not be popular in the herd, because you're able to trust your own judgment and your own ability to understand the information. I did feel this was worthy of sharing, worthy of reporting on. I'm not trying to weaponize it just to say that all meat eaters are dumb, okay, because that would just make people mad. The point is that there's 90 million unique individual vegans around the world who are being derogated, who are being targeted and attacked simply for the fact that they don't eat dead animals. To be honest, it's quite nice for them to be able to hear that they're not the stupid ones, okay? They're not the crazy ones. In fact, the people that are attacking them are likely very stupid. So do with that information what you will, but I thought it might be enlightening for some people to hear.